Today in crypto, we get a very timely reminder of why Bitcoin is such a damn good place to park your money long term. I mean, you have to understand this. Just please don't get it wrong. The people in charge of the global economy, they are totally freaking crazy, man. The Federal Reserve just reminded us of that reality. There is a reason that all of these big money macro investor types, they're piling into gold and they're piling into Bitcoin right now. And as further evidence that, we also have a new Bitcoin fund announced by one of the world's largest asset managers. Also got all the latest crypto news for you from Polka Dot, Ontology, Oasis Labs, crypto.com, and USDC. Ooh, stablecoin news. Lark is bringing the goods today. Oh yeah. Okay, but seriously guys, my name is Lark, in case you're new around here. Hi, welcome to the party. And of course, this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the wild land of cryptocurrency. So, of course, we have to start today's conversation by talking about Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin has been moving in a very tight range these last few days. Candle closes have not been much more than $100 apart, which means that we are coiling up for some good old-fashioned volatility in the market. We can also evidence this by seeing that the volume has basically been on a steady decline since our pump in July. Again, that's a signal that we are gearing up for a moment of volatility. The question, though, becomes, when is that volatility going to happen? Well, looking back at the last big move for Bitcoin, we can actually see an incredibly similar pattern has formed up, and we are seeing that playing out. So both, of course, in the actual formation of the candles, which are very similar, but also in the falling volume. So it's all kind of aligning again here. But what happened was actually Bitcoin ranged sideways for weeks before making a dramatic move. So we could be in for a few more weeks of sideways action. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Now, zooming in a bit here, we have seen recent price support levels hanging out right around $11,100. It would, of course, be excellent if we can maintain above that level. But to be honest, a retrace to retest $10,500, that could be in the books for us in the coming few weeks as we just kind of range in this area. You see, we're actually picking up some short-term bearish signals when we're looking over here on the 4-hour chart. The price is currently below both the 50 and the 200 period moving averages, which is obviously a bearish sign. We want to see the price closing above those lines. Now, the moving averages, they're also about to take a bearish crossover, so that could give us some more weight for the bear case in the short term. But the 4 hours also sitting right now in a nice little falling wedge pattern, which has a terminal point around $10,500. But of course, remember that a falling wedge pattern, this is actually a bullish pattern. So even though we might see the price declining in the coming week or two, it's likely to break to the upside potentially in a very dramatic fashion. So even though we could see some of that short-term price pressure to the downside, the overall picture looks bullish, especially if we zoom back out to the daily. We can see that we are actually still in an uptrend, maintaining very strong momentum above both the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. So we're definitely sailing in clear waters there. A retest of the 50-day, though, around 10,500 would not be crazy. We do have a big thing working in our favor right now, though, that has the massive amount of stablecoins ready to buy up Bitcoin. The current stablecoin supply ratio chart shows us that there is a high buying power of stablecoins over Bitcoin right now. And thus, we can possibly see an increased potential for a strong upwards movement with so much dry powder basically sitting on the sidelines. Now, for reference, the current supply ratio, it is 3 times greater than when Bitcoin was at a similar price level last year. So that's pretty cool. And on the topic of stablecoins, Coinbase has unveiled some super hot new features for the USDC stablecoin. So the new features will allow services that offer USDC support to pay the transaction fees, which, to my mind, is absolutely game-changing in terms of cryptocurrency adoption. Because what this does is essentially allow to abstract away the complexity layer for new users, because you can just really with this new upgrade, set it to either have the app that you're using, pay the fees to the Ethereum network, so basically have a free transfer for the user, or you have it so that you see your transfer just costed in dollars, but the Ether still is paid off in the background, meaning that you will not need to own Ethereum to be able to send USDC, which is game changing. This is like PayPal level stuff. The network still, of course, gets the fees, but the user experience will be massively enhanced. Now combine this technology with something like unstoppable domains, human readable addresses, and suddenly using crypto has become wildly, wildly easy. A big thank you to Crypto.com for sponsoring today's episode. So the next syndicate event for Crypto.com has been announced for September 1st. Now it's going to give you a chance to grab some OMG at a 50% discount. Of course, terms and conditions do apply for those syndicate events. Also, Crypto.com has been on a big listing spree recently. Now, of particular interest will be, of course, the big hype tokens of the moment. So they've just listed Polka Dot, and they've also just listed the Polka Dot ecosystem player Kusama. So that's very, very cool. You can now buy both of those either using a credit card or a bank transfer via your Crypto.com app. And of course, if you want to score yourself one of these sweet, sweet Crypto.com debit cards and start earning those generous cash back rewards, and of course, a load of other sweet perks like free Netflix and free Spotify and free airport lounge access, as well as potentially premium lending rates, then click on the link down below in the description. And as a special bonus, when you use that link in the description to sign up, you will get a $50 bonus for reserving a Ruby Red tier card or higher. Now these bad boys are currently shipping to the United States, to Australia, to New Zealand, to the Philippines, to the EU, to the UK, and soon coming to Canada. So check it out. So let's get into the news. We have some massive, massive Polkadot news here for you. As if we needed any more reasons to be bullish on Polkadot, but here we go anyway. A project called Snowfork is building a bridge that will allow tokens, loans, futures, options, derivatives, and really any other asset to be trustlessly transferred between Ethereum and Polkadot. Now, Ethereum obviously has the deepest liquidity of any blockchain out there, with billions of dollars locked in DeFi and many, many billions of dollars in stablecoins alive on the network. So Polkadot plugging in to that liquidity, it is going to be a game changer for Polkadot's DeFi ecosystem and all the products that they have available there. I do want to remind you as well, in case you missed it, that Ontology is building a parachain on Polkadot to be able to access the Polkadot ecosystem liquidity, and of course the service providers that are there, and of course to increase their DeFi footprint. Now, of particular focus will be bringing the Ontology decentralized identity services into that network via the parachain, which I guess it's really just a win for both of these blockchains to see them teaming up like this. And Ontology has just announced that it is running a Ren dark node, and it will now be supporting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Zcash cross-chain swaps. And most importantly for Ontology, they have submitted a request to have Ontology added to the Ren protocol, which could greatly increase their cross-chain capabilities and their DeFi footprint, which is super awesome to see Ontology making these moves, which I think brings me on to a wider point about what's going on right now in the crypto space. The future of cryptocurrency, it is about interoperability. As much as some people may like to push the Highlander narrative, there can only be one blockchain, McCloud. That's not reality, man. That's BS. It's not what's actually happening. The future will be many networks working together. Next up, Binance has teamed up with Oasis Labs to fight cryptocurrency fraud, launching the Crypto Safe Alliance, which is a global effort by cryptocurrency businesses to share security and anti-fraud intelligence, making it easier to track stolen funds or to trace money laundering activities without actually giving away any trade secrets to their competitors when sharing that information, which is pretty gosh darn cool. But I bring this up in particular because Oasis Labs is one of those you have to keep your eye on it kind of projects. They actually did a big raise back in 2018, and they have really just been delivering on their technology since then without really making a whole lot of noise. So this is kind of a big deal for them teaming up with Binance. Now they are involved with CryptoSafe because they very specifically deal with privacy-focused cloud computing, which is a perfect use case for this kind of trade industry kind of thing where we see these companies needing to collaborate but not necessarily always trusting each other completely. So this partnership is a big deal for Oasis with Binance. And now let's talk about some big Bitcoin news. One of Wall Street's most ardent Bitcoin supporters and one of the world's largest asset managers, Fidelity, is launching an institutional-focused Bitcoin fund. Fidelity's investment chief strategist is heading up this fund, which has a cool $100,000 minimum buy-in. Now, this fund will be a Bitcoin-only investment vehicle. Nothing else, just Bitcoin. Damn, man, that's crazy. Obviously, this is targeted at a very, very specific audience of family offices and high net worth individuals, hedge funds, other institutional investors like that. So really the big money crowd, people who can afford a $100,000 minimum buy-in. Now, of course, this is not the first Bitcoin-only fund out there, far from it, but seeing Fidelity, again, doubling down on Bitcoin, being just so involved with this, launching a Bitcoin fund, this is a big deal. It's one of the world's biggest asset managers, and they are all in on Bitcoin. And of course, just another ramp for big money to easily onboard into Bitcoin, which is of course bullish in the big picture. And as we have covered at great length here on the channel, of course, institutional interest in Bitcoin remains very, very high as those macro headwinds threaten the global economy, which brings us into our final story of the day. The Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell has announced what we thought he would announce, that inflation will be allowed to rise above 2% for some time. So let me just sum up what that actually means. Basically, no one is steering the ship. The Titanic happens to be the ship in this case, and that instead of steering the ship, he's going to go make a cup of tea and listen to the violin players as the whole thing goes down. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, man. Anyway, monetary inflation, it's such a sticky, weird little beast, when you think about what he just said, it's just so vague as well. And it's vague enough, I think, to cause some moments of pause and concern. How far above 2% will it rise? 2.1% or 5%? What's going on here? And just what does some time mean? Basically, they have no plan. Just they're letting it run wild. The new term is being called average inflation targeting. If things change, just move the goalposts. All you gotta do. How high will the inflation rates go? Hard to say, but it's not good. Not good in long term for the dollar. This also, of course, is going to mean that interest rates are not going to rise anytime soon. In fact, we could see more cuts for interest rates as the situation gets even more and more out of control. Negative rates are already the norm in Europe. No reason they couldn't be the norm in the US in the coming year. As expected as well, on the back of the news, the Federal Reserve will be doing even more reckless policy, pumping more money out there and letting inflation run wild. The S&P 500 raged up to a new all-time high as the Fed money printer goes brrrr. All of the stock investors, they know a plain, simple truth. Stocks only ever go up because the whole market is rigged. As long as that money printer keeps on rolling, the good times keep on rolling with it. An interesting fact for you as well, this is a chart showing Bitcoin and gold during Jerome Powell's speech. Safe haven asset investors are definitely watching what is going on with the money printers, and I think they're watching that with growing unease. And even though the prices did end lower post-announcement, I really think that's probably just one of those short-term kind of buy the rumors, sell the news kind of deals. The big picture does remain. I mean, look what Fidelity just announced, right? It's crazy. Stay focused on the reality that the dollar long-term big trouble. It was in big trouble. The response to the 2008 crisis, it set in motion a terrible chain of policy norms that have basically ensured that the only path forward is more money printing and more debt. The United States right now, it's closing in on $27 trillion in debt, and it's closing in on that number very, very fast. And it's not just the United States problem. They're the worst offender, but most governments globally, they're broke, and they are just in totally deep in debt. The debt crisis right now, it's a major ticking time bomb. And the current policies that are being enacted by central banks, they're adding fuel to the fire, making the debt problem worse and making the future of the fiat currencies even more precarious. Risk taking by Wall Street, it is getting worse, since Wall Street knows they can never lose. When they screw up, they win, and when they win, they win. Lending, of course, is being done with even fewer ducks given, which makes the whole thing, again, even more of a house of cards. And without any real meaningful systemic change, of course, we can expect that just more and more inflation is going to happen, because when everything looks like a nail and all you have is a hammer, that's what you get. We will continue to see stocks that move upwards. We'll continue to see gold move upwards. And of course, Bitcoin will continue to shine, because all of that insanity by the Federal Reserve, it's good for Bitcoin. This is why macro investors are starting to pile into Bitcoin. All these guys like Paul Tudor Jones and Raoul Pal, they're into Bitcoin. Remember, 21 million max, so make sure you have your moon ticket. The big investors know it. You know it. I know it. The only thing that we need right now is patience to have long-term success. Anyway, those are my 2 Satoshis. Your question for today: what cryptocurrency are you most excited about right now? It doesn't have to be your biggest holding or the one you made the most money on, whatever. That's just pure excitement. What a cryptocurrency, like, yeah, that cryptocurrency, man. Groovy. Anyway, let me know down below in the comment section. Hope you're having a freaking awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.